What's going on, everybody? My name is Dwayne McAllister, and this is my 3 cents. Thanks. I thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. For those of you that have been here before, thanks for coming back. And those of you that have never been here before, thanks for checking me out. Right here on my 3 cents, what I like to do is have a conversation with all of you about movies that either are about to come out or movies that have already been released, whether it was yesterday or 50 years ago, it doesn't matter. I just like talking about movies in general and having a conversation with all of you. So that's basically what we do here on this channel. So we're about to get into our conversation, but before we do that, I just want to ask if you can do me one quick favor. If you could like, subscribe, comment, and share this video. And if you do nothing else, just subscribe to the video, please. I would really enjoy that all the way from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. It's much appreciated. Now, with all of that being said, we are about to get into the movie at hand today, but we're not going to review a movie. What we're going to do is talk about an upcoming movie. As you see behind me, we're going to talk about an upcoming movie that's coming out very soon. The movie today is going to be, I was about to say the wrong movie. The movie we're going to talk about today is Final Destination 6 Bloodlines. So this movie is something that I didn't even know that they were going to do until I just heard, hey, the new Final Destination trailer is out. So for those of you that have never seen Final Destination before, I'll say this. If you've seen one of the movies, you've seen all of the movies. Now, I don't say that to criticize Final Destination because I am a fan of this franchise. Final Destination 1, to my understanding, there was no other movie that was quite like that when it came out. So it was somewhat of a game changer in itself. Final Destination 2 traumatized people because of the opening of Final Destination 2. That was one of the greatest openings in movie history and cinematic history because of the trauma that it came along with, or that it introduced into everybody's lives. For those of you that have seen it, if you know, you know. If you don't know, I'm about to tell you right now. After seeing that opening scene, me or anyone else that's seen it, we will never look at log trucks the same ever again. So before the movie came out, I had never seen a log truck going down the highway before. Just never seen it. And honestly, since seeing that movie, I had never seen a log truck traveling down the highway, the freeway, or whatever until last year. Now, keep in mind, Final Destination 2 came out like in, I don't know, 2002, 2003, something like that. And from that time until just last year, 2024, I had never seen a log truck. But then when I finally saw one in real life, I actually ended up seeing a couple of them. Not because they were like riding in a group together. It's just on a couple different occasions, I saw log trucks. And every single time I saw one, I said, nope, Final Destination 2, I need to get over. I need to speed up. I need to pull back. Either way, I need to get away from this truck. Now, that doesn't go to say that I haven't seen other trucks carrying cargo that didn't make me think about Final Destination 2. And I thought, too close to Final Destination 2, need to get away from this truck. I got to go get away from this truck. So, whether I sped up, slowed down, either way, I didn't want no problems. So, I will read the premise for this movie real quick. So, and just before I do that, the details about it are obviously it's a horror movie. It's going to be rated R. All of them are always rated R. There's never really any big names in any of them except for the late Tony Todd. He's made a guest appearance in, I believe, all of the movies. And he's kind of the one that gives people a hint about how they can survive a little bit longer, I guess you could say. I should also say, I said the late Tony Todd because he actually died last year. From what I read, he died from cancer. He died back in November. And I believe this is probably the last movie that he appeared in before we lost him. So those of you that don't know who Tony Todd is, he is the iconic Candyman from when did the original Candyman come out? I believe back in the 80s, the late 80s is when that came out, the first one. And everybody knows him as Candyman. If you don't know him as Candyman, if you don't know who he is by name, you know his face when you see him because he pops up in different things, and he's always the creepy guy that you just don't know what to think. And not creepy like R. Kelly or anything like that, or Diddy, but creepy like he's kind of scary. He kind of has like this like graveyard shift type demeanor to him or whatever, like a certain darkness to him. At least that's the characters that he plays. He was probably a really cool person in real life. I don't know. The release date for this is actually somewhat special to me. It comes out on May 16th. My birthday is May 17th. So this might be something that I'll be going to see for my birthday. That might be the plan. Who knows? With that being said, the plot is plagued by a recurring violent nightmare. A college student returns home to find the one person who can break the cycle and save her family from the horrific fate that inevitably awaits them. That doesn't really tell us much of anything, but basically, if you know Final Destination, I'm going to tell you the plot because the plot is the same for all of the movies except for part 3. Part 3 is a little bit different, but the plot is typically this group of people are supposed to die. Somebody does something to save them from dying, and death is coming to hunt them down one by one to kill them in the order of what they were supposed to have died. So you have 5 people. If death comes and kills off person number 1, person number 2, but then person number 3 is able to avoid their death, it'll go to number 4, it'll go to number 5, and then swing back around to number 3. That's the way it works in a nutshell. So, this explanation that I just read on IMDb, it didn't really make sense to me as far as explaining what the story is going to be. I don't know. But like I said, if you've seen one Final Destination, you've seen all of them. But they're fun movies to watch in the most horrific way possible. So with that being said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer and see what we're in for. Now, this trailer has been out for a couple to several weeks now, and I've been avoiding it. So I haven't seen any of the trailers. So, yeah, let's see what this one has to offer. And hopefully it will give a better overview for what this movie as a whole is going to be as far as, you know, this installment for Final Destination.
Drinks all around.
Family, you don't get to pick the one you get. Just gotta love the one you got.
I always knew this day would come.
I got it.
I don't think you got it.
I held him off for years.
Charlie, get up here.
He's a relentless son of a... Won't stop till he finishes the job. Death is coming for our family.
I said, oh, 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 oh.
Grandma, what's happening to us?
Years ago, I had a premonition that started it all. I saw what death was about to do. I saved a lot of lives that night.
Everyone needs to get off the dance floor!
Lives that were never meant to be saved. But death doesn't like it when you mess with his plans.
This book, it will show you everything you need to know to keep our family safe.
It all started with Grandma. Death is coming for us because we were never supposed to exist.
Watch out!
Only by embracing death will it pass you by.
Maybe Death's not actually coming for our family. Because that would be crazy.
Good luck.
All right. So that was the Final Destination Bloodlines trailer. Now, I will first of all say that this trailer in particular, I wish I'd chosen a different trailer, because this trailer in particular is the reason why I don't watch a lot of trailers anymore. I think that they show way too much in this one. And for the sake of you all watching this, I kind of wish that I had vetted this trailer before just choosing one to hit and play. Because it looks like they gave a lot of spoilers in that one. I won't say a lot of spoilers, but they gave enough spoilers to take away from the impact, no pun intended, for when you actually sit down and watch the actual movie. It's just like, unless they're doing something like what the Marvel movies tend to do, they put in a whole bunch of fake stuff in their trailers, so that way, once you see the real movie, it's not so much that's given away. Or at least I know that's what they did for like Endgame and Infinity Wars. They put out trailers where it got you hype about seeing the movie, but it didn't actually show you really anything that was really happening in the movie, because they added a whole bunch of fake stuff in there. See, but this one, they showed the scene for the premonition. I hate that they did that. I mean, those of us that are real fans of Final Destination, we would have put it together that was a premonition. But I wish that they had just left that alone, because that's the thing that we wait for in the Final Destination movies, the premonition scene. You know, that scene just really sets the tone for the whole movie. And that's probably partially why Part 4 was so awful, because that premonition scene was awful. It was atrocious. And I'm not saying that in a good way. No, it was poorly executed, and oh my goodness. So they showed us part of the premonition scene already. We saw the father die. We basically just saw the whole thing, how he died. Like, why do that? And so, and especially the way that he went out, really wish they had cut that out and left that for when we saw it in the movie itself. Because now we're like, oh, so that's what happened. You know, that's messed up, but I already knew coming into it what happened to him and everything. But I will use that scene to say that's what I was talking about. If I go back to it, that's what I was talking about when I said that Death likes to use a whole, kind of like the board game Mousetrap. It's like this happens and this happens and this happens, which is basically just another very intricate domino effect. So, like, you see right here, they're all having a barbecue. Let's do that full screen. So they're having a barbecue, and then they break the ice, and then some glass falls into the ice. But because it's clear like the glass, I mean, it's clear like the ice, the glass looks like the ice and everything. And then they just start messing with you. Like, is he going to drink this ice, or are they going to jump on the trampoline and get stabbed by the rake right there? And then the water hose comes on. Is this a water? What is this? Well, but it starts knocking stuff over and everything. All these things are happening that leads up to that. That basically leads up to the father's demise. Like, just all this stuff starts to happen and everything. So, like I said, that's the joy in watching the intricacies of how these scenes come together in Final Destination. And it's just that over the years, they've kind of lost their way a little bit. So in part 1, it was a senior class going on a trip over to France, I believe. Yeah, they were going to France. And then one of the kids had a premonition. It went that they sat down on the plane. He tried to open up his tray table in front of him. He pulled the screw and it wasn't screwed in. The tray table just fell down. So then as they all took off, the plane exploded and the fire washed over him and is burning up everybody. And then he wakes up from his dream and everything. Now, as he was looking around, different things were happening. You know, this guy trying to talk to these girls, and then something happened. Somebody spilled some stuff or something like that. When he came back, all the same stuff was happening. So he started screaming, "We got to get off the plane. We got to get off the plane." Him and 6 other people ended up getting taken off the plane, you know, for one reason or another. And the plane blew up. Death is hunting them down one by one in order that they would have died according to the seating chart. Part 2, they're on a freeway and then there's a giant accident. This girl is driving and, you know, her and her friends are going on spring break. She gets her premonition of everything that happens. So she blocks off the road so that way nobody can go onto the freeway, because she's like, there's about to be a giant accident. So the accident happens, and in the order that these people would have died that were in line behind her on the ramp to get onto the freeway, Death is hunting them down, trying to take them out one by one in that order. Now, part 3 is a little bit different. Part 3, if I remember correctly, because I only saw it once, I only saw the whole thing one time. But if I remember right, in part 3, it was something about someone had a camera and they were taking pictures of people. And depending on different like artifacts that were seen in the picture, and for those that don't know, when I say artifacts, I mean things like, you know, scratches or dust marks, or the way the light is hitting people, or like a smudge or something like that you see in the picture. It was like in the order that the pictures were taken, you had to look at the picture and see if anything looked off. So like if it looked like there was like a slash going through somebody's neck, you had to say, oh, they're going to get stabbed. They need to watch out for a harpoon or something like that, a spear or something like that. If you see anything like that around, stay away from it. So a lot of people didn't like part 3 very much. I didn't think it was as bad as what people made it seem to be, but I thought that it was good enough for what it was. But I agree, it wasn't that good, especially in comparison to 1 and 2. So when 4 comes out, they decide to go back to their roots. But it was also during the time when a lot of movies were in 3D, so they just wanted stuff to like come at the camera at you and everything. And the death scenes were extremely predictable and boring, and there wasn't a lot of buildup at all. It's just, you saw, oh, this over here is gonna kill them. Look what happened. Exactly what I said was gonna happen happened. Where with the previous ones is like puzzle pieces had to fit together in order to make this stuff all happen. 4, I guess, was kind of like that, but not to the same degree of intricacy at all. It was just, it was boring. Like 4 was just terrible, super terrible. And then 5, it was better than part 4. they did a better job of pulling off the different scenes, the different gags and everything, as they call them. For those that don't know, when you talk about movies, gags doesn't mean a joke or anything like that. A gag is actually just like a certain particular something happening. So when they did the certain gags, like there's one death scene in particular that has really messed people up, and it's the one with the two girls getting into the tanning bed. And I'll admit that scene was pretty messed up. There's a gymnastics scene that's pretty messed up, but the CG that was needed to make it happen, it was a little bit janky, but it was good enough. It was still better than part 4. And then that premonition scene with the bridge, it wasn't bad. So 5 wasn't a great movie, but it was still better than part 4 by leaps and bounds. So now part 6, this looks like this might be a good movie. Again, I hate that they spoiled so much stuff in this one particular trailer. But I think that this is interesting because they're actually tying, it looks like they're using this movie to tie all the movies together and even go beyond the first movie, because in part 1 and 2, they were related just in that, well, some stuff happened, wasn't that messed up? And then, well, actually it was deeper than that, because they actually went and talked to one of the characters from the first movie in order to try and figure out how to, what did they do in order to still survive to this day and everything like that. So they did have a connection between 1 and 2. I don't think there was a connection in part 3. Part 4, part 4, I think it was kind of standalone. And part 5 was actually cool because it had a twist in it that connected part 5 back to part 1. I won't spoil like how that twist happened, because even though I told you what it was, you won't understand what I'm talking about really unless you see it yourself. So, but I would definitely recommend starting with I would say if you're going to do that, watch part 1, part 2, and then probably part 5. 3 and 4, you could probably skip them if you want to. But yeah, definitely watch 1, then 2, and then 5, and you'll see what I'm talking about as far as, tying them all together and everything. And it seems like this part 6 is going to tie the whole universe together to an extent. I'm a little bit scared that they might be trying to overdo things, like they might be trying to do too much. I don't really know. But who knows? This is probably the last one too, by them putting so much into it as far as the story goes. And she's talking about, this is something that's been chasing her bloodline and all this stuff and everything. I'm guessing that we might see that different people in the different movies have been related to her, and it's been trying to basically take out her whole bloodline, basically. I talked about how traumatic part 2 was. Part 1, the way this girl got hit by the bus, I forget what her name was. I think that character's name was Terry, I think it was. But and the way she got hit by the bus, like nobody saw that coming in part 1. And I hate that they did that in this trailer. They actually showed you, like, unless they're messing with us in the trailer, he got hit the same way that she did, basically. It was kind of like an homage to part 1. So now I'm wondering how much of an homage are they going to be playing to part 1 throughout this movie? But it really has me asking some questions now. But before I start rambling on for too long, this is probably a good time for me to stop this video before this video gets too long. But yeah, this is going to be an R-rated movie. It's going to be Pretty gory and graphic, not like Saw or anything like that, but it will be bloody. It will be graphic to an extent based off of what the other movies have been. It's going to be a strong R rating. I don't think that it has any big names starring in it, but we do get to see Tony Todd one more time on the big screen. So those of us that are fans of Tony Todd, hey, this is your last chance to see him in something new. And one more time, this comes out on May 16th. Like I said, this is one day before my birthday, which is May 17th. So it's near impossible for me to forget that this movie is coming out or when it's coming out. Yeah, if you plan on going to see this movie, let me know, because I'm really curious about what your thoughts are. Have you seen the other movies? If so, which ones have you seen? And which ones have you not seen? Did you like them? Why or why not? I really want to have a conversation with all of you. And I just want to get to know all of you better by knowing, do you agree with me or disagree? And what type of movies do you like? You know, what movies would you like for me to look at? Because I know I'm doing a lot of trailers right now, but I do want to get back into actually reviewing the movies themselves. And actually, honestly, I want to get better at reviewing the movies too. And it will really help me if I could have a conversation with all of you instead of just doing all the talking. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. But as always, I'm going to ask that you would, if nothing else, please subscribe to my channel. It will help me out a whole lot. And above all else, I would just appreciate it. So thank you in advance for that. Once again, my name is Dwayne McAllister, and this is my 3 cents. Thanks.